All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm joined by my good buddy, Pat Greenall. For those of you who don't know, Pat is a fellow filmmaker, videographer, and actually a Final Cut user like myself. True. Pat's gonna start a controversy in the comments.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna start a controversy.
Why do you use Final Cut?
Honestly, it's as easy as speed. I feel like it's just faster to use, easier to use, does a lot of the same things as Premiere.
You just lit an absolute fire in the comments.
I might have, but I mean, it's a preference thing, right?
Yeah, it is a preference. But today's topic is going to be something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but I guess I just never really got around to it because I didn't really know how to address it. But having Pat here today makes it easier because this is something that I actually picked up from him, specifically the transition where you fill the frame with a certain color or texture and then you transition out of the next shot with the same color or texture. How did that kind of start, and how would you describe this transition?
Yeah, so basically I would say it's a form of in-camera transition, and I got a lot of the inspiration came from people like Brandon Li and people like JesseDriftwood, and it's just a good way to enhance the story and kind of keep the viewer entertained from one shot to the next, as long as that shot makes sense and there isn't too much going on.
And it's good that you mentioned like it keeps the viewer entertained, because it's something that forces you to pay more attention when you're actually capturing your footage rather than just relying on editing and the things you do in post. Now you bring up JesseDriftwood and Brandon Li, also Final Cut users if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, both of them.
So Final Cut gang, if you're in the comments, comment below. Let us know what editing softwares you're using, because we got two Final Cut guys right here, and might have to convert some people.
Yeah.
So I've actually had the benefit of watching you and how you capture these types of shots and these transitions. You've even directed me on a couple of these when we filmed like the Zion Weeble video. And I feel like a lot of people haven't had that same experience. So how would you like describe to them what to look for or how to go about getting a transition like this?
Kind of when you're in the environment, you know, just you're gonna have to get really creative with it, searching for things of the same color, the same texture. Most importantly is, does the shot make sense with the shot that's gonna follow it? Because, you know, if there's just a million in-camera transitions in a row, you're gonna end up making the viewer sick. Like they're on some sort of crazy roller coaster or something, right?
Now you brought up the point about the roller coaster, how sometimes the shots are just kind of whipping all over the place. I'm definitely guilty of that because I used to heavily rely on speed ramps and motion blur, and I still do that a lot, but it's important every now and then to mix in something that's a little easier on the eyes, whether that's a hard cut or even one of these transitions like we're talking about. It doesn't have to be fast.
You know, sometimes I will follow up a couple in-camera transitions with just a couple hard cuts, because sometimes you almost have to remind the viewer what it is that they're watching and why they're even watching what they're watching, because I feel like it's so easy to kind of get lost in that constant, you know, movement. Having a few in there to kind of captivate, like, oh, that was really cool, or like, it's just to give them a different perspective. It's not to kind of compensate for anything. Another thing to really keep in mind is I would rather do the shot a million times and get it perfect. Don't like to rely on post as much.
It's funny because all of these things kind of come together when you might think like, why are you making a whole video about one type of transition? But really this one type of transition is just a way of thinking when you're going out to shoot videos, because it forces you to get more creative and think more about your shots. Whereas if you were just gonna shoot whatever and fix it in post, it won't have the same polished look that you would get from having something that looks more intentional. Now when you're going into a shoot, whether that's some kind of branded content or a travel film, do you plan out these transitions beforehand, or do you just kind of go on the fly, go with the flow? Like, what's your process?
So sometimes I plan the transitions out, and other times I kind of just find them on set, I guess. It's a little more difficult when you're there and you haven't planned anything out and you're looking for textures, you're looking for colors. And I remember for the Weeble video when we were downtown, I was just looking for gray colors and random blue colors and trying to do that. So it's a little more difficult given that environment, but in the event that you can plan out your texture and your exposures and the things that you can kind of pan into, it makes things a lot easier, which is also true like as far as when you make your videos too. Some of those in-camera movements and things like that, they come out so clean because you can anticipate, you can control the environment. Whereas if you're traveling somewhere or you're in the middle of like Indonesia, like you can't change the ground or something, you know, it is what it is.
Like when I did the Kahlua video, the countertop was navy blue and then we were coming out of a black coffee maker. Now, if I just did a hard cut, you would have noticed the difference between those two shots. It wouldn't have flowed, but something you told me to to do was the cross dissolve.
Yeah, see, I'm a sucker for the cross dissolve. It's the guilty pleasure, I must say. But a lot of people kind of like to hate on the cross dissolve because people see it as a rudimentary kind of more beginner transition. But the reality of it is when you combine it with some of these in-camera movements and some of these other texture transitions, it does a good job of painting over where that cut is. And
for sure,
it's really easy because sometimes the dissolve can kind of help you cheat that, and it'll slowly fade into whatever the next shot is. And honestly, it's worked for me so many times, and it's hilarious to say cross dissolve because everyone's like, whoa.
It's something you think of like as in like a corporate video at like an office, you would use a cross dissolve, or like even a wedding film from 2011. But yeah, so I guess the moral of the story is think about what you're shooting. Shoot your transitions with intent. Don't always rely on adding a ton of motion blur in post or trying to MacGyver things together in editing, because the more you think out your process while you're actually doing it, the more polished and intentional it seems in the end product. But thanks, Pat, for coming on the channel and talking about this. If you want to check out his stuff, go to YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, just Pat Greenall.
At Pat Greenall, you already know what it is. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to give it a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. You want to give that a go?
Yeah, let me try this one. You ready? Wait, is it left? It's right, left, boom?
I go left, right, boom.
Okay, tell me one.
So, 3, 2, 1. Okay, bring the elbows up. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Hey, not bad.
I got it.
Have you ever seen anything like this before? I haven't. But let me show you what I did see.
One joke out. See you at the top.